Welcome to our live interview with the writers from the Denton Record-Chronicle, powered in part by Classic of Denton. All right, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in live on DentonRadio.com. We are here with the man of the hour, Mr. Brett Vito. Every Monday, we get together with writers from the Denton Record-Chronicle, and we can talk about all things Denton news, Denton events, and today we are talking Denton sports. Brett Vito is the man that always brings us everything that's going on in the Denton sports realm. So, Brett, what we got going on today?
Well, it's just the fallout from one of the more exciting North Texas wins in recent memory, probably since 2003. North Texas ended up coming back and beating one of its big rivals, Texas San Antonio, over the weekend at Apogee Stadium. Texas, kind of a back-and-forth game, got down into the fourth quarter where really they got into a spot where absolutely everything had to play out exactly the way they needed it to for them to come back and win that game. They were trailing late. UTSA had a chance to run out of the clock by, picking up a first down. North Texas's defense held, and they punted away to North Texas in the last minute. North Texas got the ball back at its 2 with about a minute and with 1:07 left on the clock, and they ended up driving for the game-winning score. Just a tremendous drive. Mason Fine hit Michael Lawrence for, I think it was 51 yards on a kind of a bomb down the sidelines, and then Rico Bussey Jr. ended up catching a cross, with just a few seconds left, and ended up picking up a key block on the sideline and turning it upfield for the game-winning score with 10 seconds left. And that got North Texas to 3-0 in conference play. So they're kind of in the driver's seat now in the West Division. So it was, just out and out, just a terrific game and one of the more exciting North Texas wins in recent memory.
Yeah, which is super, super cool. I mean, like I said, we're really out in front right now. This is super cool.
Yeah, there's only a couple of other unbeaten teams out there, and I think they're both in the East. Well, I know there's no other team that's unbeaten in the West. There are a couple of good teams in the East. Florida Atlantic and Marshall are both at the top of the East Division. And the way Conference USA sets up, if North Texas can hang on, win the West Division, and most of their tough games are behind them, then they would theoretically go in and play the top team from the East in the conference title game. Last year, it was Louisiana Tech, ended up falling in a thrilling game against Western Kentucky. But right now, it looks like North Texas controls its own destiny. Louisiana Tech's only got one loss. There's a couple other one-loss teams in the West. The big game sets up for later in the year, depending on the way things play out, could be at Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech isn't what it was last year. They sent, I think, three of their players got drafted last year and taken in the NFL draft. So they're not quite what they were last year, but they're another team that if they keep winning and North Texas keep winning, that game could be really big towards the end of the season if Louisiana Tech can stay as a one-loss team and North Texas can stay undefeated. I mean, in theory, if it goes down to the end and North Texas can hang on, then you could potentially see the possibility of either North Texas hosting or going to the conference title game against, right now, the best teams in the East look like I said, they're Marshall and Florida Atlantic. And that's the other interesting thing is now North Texas goes to Florida Atlantic this week to play Lane Kiffin, the old, everybody knows who Lane Kiffin is at Falls Sports. He's the former Raiders coach, former Tennessee coach, former USC coach that, he ended up getting, he kind of parted ways with Alabama right before the national title game last year, and he ends up landing at Florida Atlantic. And they have, he's done a really good job there early on, and, they have gotten off to a terrific start. Look like they're headed to a bowl game, too. Surprisingly, they're a run-first team. They're one of the most effective running teams in the league behind Greg Howell and Jeff Driscoll. He ended up winning the quarterback job there in a pretty interesting race with a guy who, ironically, was the star of Last Chance U.
Wow.
The Netflix series was the other guy that was there at Atlantic and competing for the job, but they ended up sticking with Driscoll. And if that name sounds familiar, it's the younger brother of the former Louisiana Tech quarterback from last year who's now playing for the 49ers. But so that'll be a big game this week. They go to Florida Atlantic out there on the beach. It'll be my first chance to see that stadium. Wow. That's pretty new. So that'll be a big game this weekend. North Texas is an underdog in that one, just like they were this last week. But everything seems to be kind of falling in place for them at this point.
Love it. Love it. And it's always good to hear when things are falling in place for UNT. I dig it. Well, anything else we want to touch on before we wrap up?
Yeah, the other interesting thing that happened today was right after that win, Dana Holgerson's son committed to North Texas today. He announced on Twitter. They've been recruiting him for a while. He's a quarterback. He's if you follow sports, you know who Dana Holgerson is. Dana Holgerson's the coach at West Virginia. His son is played for Morgantown, the high school there, briefly transferred out, and then came back. He's now starting again for Morgantown. Not a particularly highly recruited guy at this point. He's a 2019 quarterback. A lot of people were sniffing around, but Coach Luttrell has a ton of connections with Holgerson and with Graham Harrell, so I think kind of just the nature of that there. I should be getting a call back from him here later this afternoon, but North Texas picked up his quarterback for 2019, and depending on the way things play out, Mason Fine would be at the tail end of his career when this guy would potentially be coming in here in a few years. So, maybe this, after a redshirt year, this guy could end up being their future quarterback. That was also a kind of a big news tidbit that came out today, that they picked up a quarterback in the class 2019.
Well, super cool. That's awesome. Well, very cool. All right, everybody, you heard it here first from Brett Vito. If you want to hear anything Denton sports from the man himself, make sure you check it all out at DentonRC.com, or go ahead and get yourself a copy of the Denton Record-Chronicle. They'll keep you up to date with everything. Next week, we will have Lucinda Breeding in studio talking about Denton events, and until then, we are here every Monday bringing you everything Denton news, Denton entertainment, Denton sports, Denton business, all that good stuff. Thank you again very much for watching. We're going to jump back into the music here on DentonRadio.com. Thanks again for coming by, Brett.
Yep, thanks.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.